Buffalo is going to win it home.
The Bills make me run. Kick your heels up and down.
Let's see why the Buffalo Bills are en route to the playoffs.
Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout.
Buffalo Bills go undefeated. And we're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Now, baby, come on, come on.
No one
Come on
circles the
and
wagon
shout.
like the Buffalo Bills.
All right, we are live, and we are back. Welcome to another episode of the Overdue Bills podcast playoff edition. We're finally here. It took us, it seemed like forever with the extra game, but we're here. And, I guess we called it, early in the season. We were talking to Max. Obviously we're going to have another game. He was so gracious to come on again. It was like, we might just meet up again in the playoffs. We might just meet up again. And here we are for the third time. The Buffalo Bills will be playing the New England Patriots. And before we kind of get into this amazing game we have coming up Saturday, I'm going to introduce the guys. Our guy, Matt, a.k.a. the all-black hat. Matt, what's up, man?
Nothing much, man. I'm excited. I'm ready for some playoff football, man. It's been a long time.
Absolutely. And before even, we were talking before we kind of came on the show, Matt said, Max is our sixth member. But Max, how you doing, man?
How's it going, guys? Happy to be part of the team, I guess.
Absolutely. Definitely appreciate you for being, on the show. Definitely appreciate you. And with that being said, man, we got an action-packed show. We don't want to necessarily be on here too long. We've been talking about the Bills and Patriots literally all season, like legitimately all season. So, I mean, it's not so much to talk about, but there are some things that I do want to highlight, I do want to bring up. And before we do that, Matt, can you please let the people know who is sponsoring this show?
Yes, sir. This show and every other episode is brought to you by the good people at Buffalo Wing Kings. There's two things the guys here at the Overdue Bills podcast know. That's Bills football and that's wings. Our first choice and the best choice is Buffalo Wing Kings. At Wing Kings, it's Wings 101. With over 101 different flavors and their beloved Wing of the Month special, Wing Kings is sure to school every other wing place around. Hit them up for Bills games. Definitely hit them up for the playoff game this week. Hit them up for parties or just whenever you have a hankering for some wings, go hit those guys up. Stop down and see them at their Elmwood Village location at 484 Elmwood Avenue, or give them a call at 716-248-1427 and find out why they say and we know they got the best wings in town, hands down. And make sure when you go there, you mention the Overdue Bills and get 10% off your order.
Absolutely. Shout out to Buffalo Wing Kings. Quick question of the day. I have an amazing question. Quick question of the day. And I don't know if anybody's going to get it, but I'm going to ask you guys, Max and Matt, when was the last time the Buffalo Bills saw the New England Patriots in the playoffs?
God.
I know the answer, so I'll let Max guess.
I don't. I'm guessing it was what? It couldn't have been the early 90s. The Pats sucked in the early 90s. Probably 80s. Am I close?
Not even close. Not
1966. I only know.
Oh my God.
That's wrong.
That's wrong?
That is wrong.
What was it?
1963 to be exact.
Oh, 1963. My bad.
He was at least close.
No, he was close. It was 1963. It was the only time the Patriots played the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. It was the AFL Eastern Division playoff. And Matt,
so it's been a minute.
Oh, it's been
the Boston Patriots back then?
Yes, they actually were.
Yeah.
They were the Boston Patriots. Yeah. And Matt, did you see the score? Do you know the score?
I didn't see the score, no.
So let me take a guess. Max, who won?
The Patriots, my boys, right?
Matt,
tell me they won.
Matt, who won?
I'm going to go with the Bills because, you know what, our guy Al B. Miller played for that squad, and I think they won an AFL championship.
Shout out.
He was a substitute teacher at our school.
Absolutely. Shout out Al B. Miller, man. Absolutely. But no, actually, the Patriots did win. They actually won 26-8. And it was in Buffalo. It was at the Old Rock Pile, Johnny B. Wiley Stadium. It is not the Bill Stadium anymore. But it was there for all of those out there listening. You know what the rock pile is. And interestingly enough, the game weather was 20 degrees, -7 wind chill, December 28th, 1963. It's kind of reminiscent, man. I don't know. I'm getting some reminiscent vibes going on, man. I'm sure Al B. Miller, he was obviously alive. I don't know how many people were alive, like, and cognizant of that game, but I thought that was interesting, right? That's the only time we met in the playoffs, and we're going to meet again, right? We're going to meet again 8:15 Eastern Time, Saturday at Highmark Stadium. And it's going to be freezing out here. It's going to be freezing. We're going to talk about it. But before we do, let's do a little bit of housekeeping just to let the people know we're getting into playoff season. So please go to the website, overduebillspod.com. Overduebillspod.com. Check out the articles that our guy Mike D has put up there. And you see the merch. You see what Matt got, the different flavors. Listen, we're trying to get everybody, you know what I'm saying, in Overdue Bills merch come Saturday. We want everybody to be on there. Matt, you got something special to say?
Yeah, so Saturday, we're going to do our first ever official Overdue Bills Day. So we want you to post in your Overdue Bills gear. We want everybody wearing their gear. If you post in your gear and you tag us, we will send you a special link or a special code to get 10% off any future orders on overduebillspod.com. So we definitely want to see everybody out there repping in their Overdue Bills gear. It's going to be our first inaugural Overdue Bills Day, so look out for that.
Absolutely. Definitely look out for that. I can't wait. And with that being said, man, let's get into the game. I guess one of the things that we can highlight first, at least as it stands with the Buffalo Bills, we don't have anybody on the injury report. I mean, kind of injury report is kind of empty. I don't think it's anybody in COVID protocol. Last time I checked, but I'm gonna ask you, Max. I think the cornerback Mills, is he still in the protocol?
Yeah, he's still in protocol. There's still a little bit of optimism, that he might clear for Saturday. That would be a tough loss because I think a lot of people say, "Oh, Jalen Mills, who cares?" But he's been really good as our number 2 corner. I believe in 8 of the last 9, he's allowed 20 receiving yards or less. So he's been pretty legit, and that would be a tough loss. But there's a couple other defensive guys that are questionable right now too on the regular injury report as well.
What is the guy on the line? Barmill? How do you say
Barmore.
Barmore.
Yeah, Barmore. Christian Barmore, big scare in week 18. He got carted off at the end of the game. MRI came out clean. No structural damage on the knee, and he's been practicing. So I think there's some optimism that he'll be on the field Saturday night.
Okay.
And then I saw something earlier about the guy who didn't play against us last time in Duggar, and then also Isaiah Wynn. They were looking less optimistic to be in this Saturday.
So I think there's a little more optimism with Duggar than there is with Wynn. Wynn, I'm gonna say, is out. I don't think he's playing. Hasn't practiced all week. Now that's a pretty big deal starting left tackle. I do have confidence in the depth of this offensive line though. And you'll probably see either Michael Nwenu at tackle or Justin Herron. I don't know what they'll do with Trent Brown, whether they'll kick him out to left, keep him at right, but you're going to see one of those 2 other guys playing tackle, on Saturday night. And, I think they'll fill in okay. Herron was playing a little bit earlier this year. He struggled, but, he got some playing time against Miami and Jacksonville and looked all right. So I have a little bit of confidence in the offensive line still to be able to figure it out without Wynn, but that is a pretty big loss.
Definitely is. So Buffalo Bills is coming in healthy. New England Patriots have some people. I guess it remains to be seen. We'll wait till Saturday for the final report and see who's out there. But with that being said, definitely interesting game coming up. And I guess I want to frame it in this way because we obviously played each other twice. And being divisional, opponents, we play each other twice every year. We know each other. McDermott knows Belichick. Belichick knows McDermott. Josh Allen. Obviously, Mac Jones is a rookie, but, we played against him twice. We are very familiar with him by now, right? I don't think that there is, quote-unquote, anything new they can kind of conjure up in their minds, right? It's like, you kind of know your opponent. It's 18 games, y'all. Like, let's be honest. But I did want to say this to Max. I'm going to start this off this way. last game, Josh Allen dominated the game, right? He was that was his best game probably all season, literally. He didn't miss a beat, didn't miss a throw, or it's running all over the field. So my question to you, Max, is how do you think Belichick will respond to that specifically? We understand it's going to be very, very, very cold. I don't know what that necessarily means. I mean, obviously, we would think that it's less throwing, you know what I'm saying, more rushing, but we don't really know how it's actually going to turn out. But we do know that Josh Allen can still run the ball. So with that being said, Max, how do you think Bill Belichick is going to respond to that?
Yeah, Josh Allen. The Patriots caught Josh Allen at a bad time last time they played. I mean, he went off like not many other quarterbacks in the league can. But I think what it's going to come down to really is the pass rush, and I think they need to rush with more discipline. They can't just stand back there and watch him throw it, because he can dominate you from the pocket and outside the pocket. So you have to be disciplined. You have to get him uncomfortable, move him around a little bit, but not too much. And as far as the temps, I do think that's something that does play to New England's hand. I mean, I think that I saw a stat on Twitter today that said Bill Belichick, Patriots 35-9 in freezing temperatures.
Jesus.
All time. So, I mean, that speaks for itself right there. But this is a whole different threat here with the Bills and Josh Allen. I think they're going to have something for him to prevent him from going off the way he did in Gillette the last time they played. Because Allen, I mean, let's be real, he's thrown 15 picks this season. I don't think he's immune to making mistakes.
At all.
So I think if the Patriots can just get him a little more uncomfortable than they did last time with their pass rush, stay disciplined, and try to get him to make a mistake or two, and that's really the key to the game defensively.
So, Matt, with that being said, how do you think that Josh Allen's going to come out, right? What do you think Brian Daboll is going to do to put him in the best positions to score? Because with the weather being considered, and I'm not going to just ask a blanket question about the weather, because we don't know, right? We've all been in cold weather. It's very difficult. It's not pleasing. But at the end of the day, they're NFL players. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. Yeah. So with that being said, you can couple the weather in your answer, but how do you think Josh Allen is going to come out Saturday at 8:15 under the lights?
Well, you know, he's really under the most pressure out of anybody, I think, out of any quarterback in the playoffs right now, because of the expectations coming in after the first couple weeks. Just kind of, you know, the money, obviously, we gave him. Our fan base is a huge game. The first time we're having a full capacity game in the playoffs since 1996. Jeez. So this is a huge deal. So the pressure is really going to be on him. So he's got to come out again and be the best player on the field. Luckily, regarding the weather, I know I talked about it in the recap game. We haven't had a good weather game, home game this season yet. I have season tickets. Every game's been terrible, either a monsoon or it's been really cold, ridiculous. I'm telling you, we have not had a good home.
It's a fact.
And so that, I mean, it is what it is. They've seen every bit of weather you could see this season. They talked about it in the press conference today, him and Stephon Diggs are like, you know, I feel really confident that we can go out and still play well. And also he's getting two guys back that he didn't have in Gillette, and Cole Beasley and Gabe Davis, who are two pretty key players in his receiving core. So I think he's going to come out, and I'm not sure he's necessarily going to throw the ball 47 times again, but I don't think he's going to be as bothered by the weather as everybody's kind of making him out to be.
You know, it remains to be seen. I don't like harping on weather. I mean, I don't know. Max, have you played high school football?
Yes. No, I did not. Sorry.
Okay,
no.
Okay.
I mean, I've been to games, but
like that,
yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
So I mean, it's just like we have some semblance of we've been out there when it's cold. We understand it's not pleasant, but you got to do what you got to do. But I did want to ask. I'm glad Matt brought that up. He brought the word pressure, right? And Josh Allen does have a lot of pressure. I think the Buffalo Bills as a whole, right? We have the pressure because we're the favorites. We went to the AFC Championship game last year, and we're considered the better team. So with that being said, Max, I wanted you to talk about Mac Jones and pressure. Do you think that he's going to play better because there's essentially no pressure on him?
Yeah, I mean, that's the excuse, right? If the Patriots end up losing this game, it's his rookie year. And that's completely valid. There really isn't a ton of pressure on Mac Jones going into this game. And I think that will benefit him a little bit. I do feel encouraged about Mac going into this game because these last couple of weeks, he's been throwing the ball down the field a lot better. Miami last week, he was 5 of 8 on deep passes. Jacksonville, obviously they're terrible, but he carved them up. So I think he's kind of entering this game on a bit of a high in terms of his play. And I think with the lack of pressure, like you said, on him, I think he'll come out and play a lot better than he did last time these two teams faced off.
Interesting. So, Matt, do you think that this is a situation where Sean McDermott has a competitive advantage and our defense has a competitive advantage over a rookie quarterback? Because, yes, he does not have pressure. I agree with you, Max, wholeheartedly. But at the same time, it's still the playoffs, right? I mean, this is his first NFL playoff game. This is for all the marbles. I know he's been at Alabama. I know people talk about, oh, he's had big games. There is no bigger game than this game in his entire life. So, Matt, do you think we have a competitive advantage being that we have been here before, right? 2 years, at least 3 years in a row, we've gotten to the playoffs. We've been the first-time playoff team against the Texans. That didn't go so well. And last year where we got, fire, but now, you know what I mean? Here we are. So, Matt, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I do definitely think we have the competitive advantage because, our defense, they ended number 1 overall in everything. And also, they talk about it. We didn't have any Pro Bowl selections on that defense. So they're going to come. They've been playing with a chip on their shoulder all season long. And I think they're going to come out with the same chip because of the veteran leadership and probably an all-pro safety like Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, missing Trey White. Guys feel like they got to step up on that defense. So I definitely do think we have the competitive advantage for sure. And also, this is a game where I know they played a lot of clips from the Boston radio callers after that last game talking about Mac Jones with his rag arm and everything else like that. So I don't know if he's going to want to come out and try to prove something because it looks like he's been trying to prove it the past couple of weeks because, like you said, he has been throwing the ball a lot better. His numbers have been good, but we haven't given up a 300-yard passer all season, and we've only given up 4 200-yard passers. So I think we definitely have that competitive advantage over a Mac Jones who hasn't shown to throw well against us.
It's funny you say that, right? Because our game plan going into the first game we played at Highmark at Buffalo Bills, right? We came on this pod and we talked about, we got to get Mac Jones to throw the ball. We got to get Mac Jones to the ball. And of course, Belichick throws a curveball to everybody. We're not going to throw the ball. We're just not going to throw the ball at all, right? It's a monsoon. The wind is going crazy. It's cold. We're just not going to throw the ball. We're going to run the ball literally every single down. So, Max, with that being said, right, do you think that the game plan is to just run it down our throats again, right? Do you think Josh McDaniels is going to say, it's freezing. We dominated, not this past game, but the game before that, right? In Buffalo, we dominated. We came in Buffalo, we dominated them in the trenches. Do you think that he's going to replicate that again?
Probably not to the extreme degree of only throwing the ball 3 times all game. I think that had more to do with the wind than the temperature per se. And Josh McDaniels came out this week and said that himself. But the game plan is going to be to run the ball, lean on these running backs, Damien Harris, Ramondre Stevenson. I think they will throw the ball a little bit more. And just based off these last couple of weeks, they've really wanted to get back into a rhythm throwing the ball. And I think there's a reason for that. They want him to be ready for a game like this. But the game plan going in has to be set the tone. In the Bill Stadium, the first time they played, Damien Harris, I believe on the second drive, broke off a 70-yard run. Yeah, that's the type of spark they're going to need offensively in order to try to get ahead early because these last few weeks, they really haven't been starting well. So that's going to be the goal going Saturday night offensively is try to set the tone with the ground.
Matt, how do we defend the run, man? Just how do we defend the run?
I mean, it's kind of how like we talked about on the recap show, you really don't want to change too much right now. You just also want to limit that big play. Our run defense was playing really well until they give up that one big play and it screws the stat line all up, like the Damien Harris 60-yard run and the Derrick Henry 75-yard run. Those big plays, we cannot have that on Saturday night because then it gives a team with a good defense and with the weather, it gives them that momentum. And you just don't want to do that. But also we have another guy coming back who didn't play in either game, and AJ Klein, right? Who's a really good tackle. He's probably our best tackling linebacker So that's another interesting piece that could help stopping this run game.
It's funny you said that. I was like, man, that's actually not good because he gets paid the least. But that's neither here nor there. That's a Bills problem. But it's funny, right? Because, and I talked about this on the recap show, and I've been talking about this with pretty much every coworker I've come in contact with. I think the playoffs, obviously, you have to have the talent, right? You have to have the players. But generally, when we get to the playoffs, the teams are sometimes, similarly stacked. In some cases, like everybody has talent to some degree. A lot of it does come down to coaching, right? And obviously, we know we're going up against Bill Belichick, who is, by pretty much every metric, one of the best coaches of all time, if not the best coach of all time. But also, we have a person in Sean McDermott who's not too shabby. And a lot of pundits have said that past game in Gillette, he got the better of Bill Belichick, right? He outcoached him. So I'm going to go to Max first. Max, how do you think Bill Belichick is coming into this game, and what is he telling the Patriots right now?
Yeah, so I think a lot is being made of the Patriots because this roster, a lot of the guys on this roster have not had the experience of going to the playoffs under Bill Belichick. This is Bill Belichick's 45th, I believe, playoff game in his career, which is insane. But I think that's going to give these guys an advantage going in, is that Bill has done this song and dance how many times. And I think he's going to have these players ready for the environment that they're about to head into. Because he's been in these hostile environments before on the road in big games. And I think guys like Mac Jones are going to benefit from that a lot. And a lot of the younger guys on this team, Kyle Duggar, this is going to be his first playoff game, assuming he plays. Or a lot of the new faces on this defense, like Jalen Mills, who hasn't been in the playoffs prior to this year in a while. So I think that having Belichick as a coach is a huge advantage to this roster because of the years and years and years and years of experience he has in these types of situations.
Interesting. And I want to ask you this too, Max, before I go to Matt. How do you feel about people saying that the Patriots, this is probably one of the least disciplined Patriots team we've seen in a long time? Right, because it's a lot of silly penalties. I think one of the guys, I can't think of his name, he lined up over the center in the 4th and 2, critical down last game. So, what do you say to that? Because those things can kill a drive. Those things can kill a team in the playoffs. There, right? So, which is uncharacteristic of a Patriots team. So, how do you feel about that? Do you think Bill Belichick is trying to, figure that out?
Oh, 100%. This is one of the least disciplined Patriots teams I have seen in a long time, particularly on special teams. It's brutal. The special teams coach, Cam Atcher, I want him out. I want him gone. Joe Judge just got fired. Bring him back. I don't know, do something because this special teams has cost this team points all season long. They've had 3 blocked punts, unheard of. Lots and lots of penalties that have extended drives or handed the other team points. I could name so many. It would take me, I would have to count on 2 hands the amount of times that the special teams has cost this team this year. So yeah, it's been really, really rough, particularly on that unit and defensively a little bit as well. But it's mostly been the special teams. It's been really brutal. Hell, the game against Buffalo the first time, the Patriots ultimately won, but N'Keal Harry was back fielding punts for no reason and fumbled the ball. That led to Buffalo's only touchdown of the game.
Right.
So just stupid stuff like that has been happening all year. I don't really understand why, because Bill Belichick emphasized the special teams more than almost any coach in the NFL. So he's got to be steam coming out of his ears and everything because of what's been going on with this team this season. But that is true. It has been one of the most undisciplined teams that Bill Belichick has fielded in a while. And you would think after a point, he would be like, all right, now something's got to change. But it's really been going on most of the year. And I don't have a direct answer as to why that is.
Interesting. So Matt, even when you look at the penalties, even though the Patriots have had a higher total, they're normally low, right? They're normally bottom 5. That's just who they are. But the Bills, we've had a lot of penalties this season. So let me ask you this. You can talk about that, but also talk about what is Sean McDermott telling the team going into this game on Saturday. What is the coach speech that's going to get them over the hump, you think?
Well, it's really, you mentioned the Patriots are a young team. This is a team that's not gone into the playoffs of Bill Belichick. This whole team on the Bills went through that run with Sean McDermott last year.
Fact.
So they, they've been here before. They saw what it felt like to get that heart ripped out in the AFC Championship when they were one game away, right? So I think they're just going to go with that. We got one game at a time to get to the big stage, and this is where it starts. Everything through the regular season is out the window. You guys control your own destiny. I think we have the better team going in. Now let's go out and prove it in front of you. I'm glad you mentioned that you think that like Mac Jones, Bill Belichick's going to be able to get Mac Jones prepared for the environment that he's going into. But I kind of disagree in that, because being a season ticket holder, I was at a playoff game last year where there was only 7,000 people and it felt like a full stadium. I'm telling you right now that this is going to be the craziest environment that any quarterback, not just because honestly, we've never seen it as fans. We haven't had a home playoff game like this since 1996. So going into that, I just think it's going to be it's going to be raucous. The Patriots, they're a really young team. On the undisciplined side, it's going to be crazy out there.
Interesting. And let me say this before we get to our expectations versus reality segment. And I'm going to do a little twist to that. It's not going to be just, regular over unders. I mean, we could do it, but I do want to put a little twist on that. But before we get there, I have a question in the comments for you, Max. Aaron, shout out to our guy Rat, who's on the show. He says, was all the money spent in the offseason worth it? Do you think that all the money that the Patriots spent was worth it?
I think so. Because, when you really break it down, they had 6 guys that were the big free agent acquisitions. Okay, you had Hunter Henry, Kendrick Bourne, Aguilar, Jonnu, Henry. 7, Jalen Mills, and Matt Judon. I would say 4 or 5 of them have been worth it. Bourne's been great. Hunter Henry's been a beast in the red zone. Jonnu and Aguilar have not been worth it at all. Not worth it at all. But that's besides the point. Judon's been great. Mills has been great. So generally, yes, they're a better team because of the money they spent in this offseason largely.
I agree. I mean, with the rookie quarterback, I got to the playoffs. So, Matt, how do you feel?
Yeah, and I mean, if they hit on 75% of free agents, that's a good haul. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's cool. That's good for me. And like you said, they made it to the playoffs after the first couple of weeks. I'm pretty sure if you asked any Patriots fan, that's a rebuilding year. By the time they got to play us the first time, there's no thought of, oh man, we can win this division. I'm telling you, at least I probably after week 4 when we went on that, we were just blowing everybody out. I was like, all right, now we can maybe fight for a wild card. So this is definitely a successful year.
All right, so we're going to go in our expectation versus reality segment, and this is how I want to do it, right? I want each of you guys, and I think I'm going to do it too because I got a player in mind. I want you to pick 2 players out, and one is from the team, one is from your team, obviously, Buffalo Bills, New England Patriots, and then one is from the opposing team. And I want you to talk about them in the sense of, right, there's an expectation on them, right, whoever they are, but how do you feel they're going to play come Saturday? Or what do you think that each team is going to do to negate the expectation of that specific player? You know what I'm saying? So you can pick whoever you want to pick, but just pick 2. Try to pick one from your team and one, you know what I mean? So just to keep it even like that. But with that being said, Matt, can you please let the people know who is sponsoring this segment?
Yes, sir. This segment is brought to you by the good people at Buffalo Pet Supply. Do you have a pet? Are you looking to get a pet or know someone who has a pet? And there's only one place to send them to make that pet live its best life, Buffalo Pet Supply. Specializing in fish, small animals, and reptiles, Buffalo Pet Supply can get you set up or maintain whatever setup you may have. Stop down and see the family-owned and operated staff over at 1345 Military Road in Kenmore, or give them a call at 716-874-1951. And make sure the same deal. Go in there and mention the Overdue Bills podcast. Get 10% off your purchase.
All right. So, since this is kind of new, let me go first. My one player, and I'm going to pick the one from the Patriots first, it's Matt Judon. I know you talked about him, but I've been on this, for a while now. While he is a great player, he had a great season. For me, when we played against him, even when he was here and even when we were in Gillette, he just didn't show up on the screen for me. Like, I don't know what it was, but he wasn't as disruptive as he's been in the past. And I think that our offensive line, and we didn't mention this, our offensive line is healthy, right? We're healthy. We have everybody on our offensive line. And I think we do a good job. Like Josh Allen has had time, especially in Gillette. So for me personally, that's the one. Like there's an expectation that Matt Judon is just this guy. But when it came down to it, and I think come Saturday, I think we're going to put him in check, man. We're going to keep him at bay. And on the flip side, the player I'm going to pick for the Buffalo Bills is actually our offensive line. I think this game is won in the trenches. And I'm just going to say them as a whole because I talked about them just before. They're healthy. And I think that they're going to come out guns blazing. And they're going to neutralize any blitzing package or any rushing, any, defensive line, front to us. And I think we're going to have a good game. So with that being said, Max, I want you to go.
You stole mine. I was going to say Matt Judon. Because
you can say him. You can say him. You can say him.
I will, because I agree, because you're right. I mean, honestly, towards the end of the season, he's kind of tailed off a little bit. Now, does it mean that they should regret bringing him in? Oh, God, no. He's been great still. Absolutely. But just he has tailed off a little bit, but the whole team kind of has since they got off their bye week. So I do agree that when you think of the Patriots defense, the biggest threat you think of is Matt Judon. Right. I'm not so sure that should be the case for Buffalo. I think that if Christian Barmore ends up playing, I believe is top 10 in pressures from an interior defensive lineman. Mm-hmm. And in your rookie year, that's phenomenal. It's amazing. I think that's the guy that you kind of want to key in on a little more. He's been very disruptive. Judon, I think they'll be able to handle him. And for Buffalo, I went with Devin Singletary. Now, I've noticed that Devin Singletary has really come on here towards the end of the season. And I think a lot of people are looking at this Buffalo team still, particularly New England, as a team that doesn't run the ball. They just throw the ball. They let Josh Allen do everything. The Patriots are going to have to stop Devin Singletary because they have had a hard time stopping the run these last few weeks. I mean, they let Duke Johnson run for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns on them last week. It's been really bad. So I think Devin Singletary is a guy that you might see step up from the Bills on Saturday night.
Interesting. That's interesting. Matt, give me your 2 players. And shout out to everybody in the comments. I see Dawkins and I think that's Kendrick Bourne. Shout out to y'all. But okay.
Yeah, so my Patriots player is going to be Hunter Henry. Because of the fact that last game it seemed like they couldn't convert a 3rd down or a 4th down against us, and our coverage in the linebacker core has been pretty weak all season. So I think he has to be able to be the one to extend drives or even down in the red zone score touchdowns. That'll be my pick for the Patriots. And then for us, I'm gonna go with Gabe Davis. Man, he's obviously it's gonna be the one-on-one matchup. Diggs versus J.C. Jackson, and then you got to have your other guy who's going to, we had Isaiah McKenzie last game. He stepped up, had a huge game. He didn't have the same role that a couple weeks after that because the guys came back. But Gabe Davis has seemed to be our constant number 2, the constant target getter. So I think he's gonna have to step up and have a good game himself.
Interesting. I like the Devin Singletary call. We really didn't talk about him on the show, but he has been coming on strong. We have been giving him the ball more. And it's crazy because I've been watching the past couple Patriots games, and they just, it's crazy. Like Duke Johnson is like terrible. I mean, like he's not a, you know what I mean? And he kind of went off.
I know.
But I will say to that, like, the Miami Dolphins always give y'all trouble. So maybe it was just that, but maybe we'll see if there's some underlining things there, right? And let me just say this to everybody out there. I know a lot of people like our over segment, but I just took it upon myself since the last couple games. We've just been off. Like when we did it, for the first game, it was like terribly off. Like, so I'm just not. We're not gonna deal with the weather. We're gonna let the weather do whatever the weather's gonna do, and we're gonna see. You know what I mean? What's going on? But let me ask you guys your predictions for the game. And if you're in the comments, please let me know your prediction for the game. Let me hear those score predictions. Matt, I want to hear you first.
Me first. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go with the Bills. The Patriots, they're young. They're gonna they may get their chance down the line, but I think we have to come out and show that we're gonna be a force in these playoffs. So I'm gonna predict 28-13 Bills.
Wow, interesting.
It hurts, but I agree with Matt. I don't think this is New England's year. For what they've accomplished, I'm very happy with it. I mean, this is year one of a rebuild, essentially. They came within a game of winning the division, and they're in the playoffs. A lot of people didn't even think they'd make the playoffs this year. So I do think the Bills win. I'm going to say it's a little closer, 24-17.
Interesting. I will say this to everybody out there. Max did this the first game. And I don't know if he's doing some reverse jinx and putting some juju on. I don't know if he's doing some juju on the Bills, but I'm just telling y'all, he did this the first game and it didn't turn out that way. So
nope.
I'm just
I will not reveal my secrets.
I'm just throwing that out there. But I do think the Bills will win. I think we're the better team. We have the better quarterback. And I think that, at this point, this is where the rubber meets the road. And Josh Allen, in these games, besides the Texans game a couple years ago, we're not going to talk about that. He generally comes to play. In kind of big moments. He's that type of player. So I'll say, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be like a 20-9, you know what I mean, type of game. Maybe a missed extra point, something like that. You know what I mean? Something a little funky and strange. But I don't think it's going to be a lot of points. I think it's going to be, a lot of 3 and outs. We're just going to be going back and forth. But the Bills will edge out the New England Patriots. So
you would take the under, which means that both teams are going to score 30.
I know. Absolutely. I would take the under, and it's -4 if you can find -4, -3.5. I don't know. You might want to look at that. I don't know. That's just me. But with that being said, let me ask you, Max, you got anything else to say about the game?
I mean, look, it's exciting. Like we said, first time in 60 years that the Patriots and Bills are going to face in the playoffs. Literally. Seems kind of unheard of, but there's going to be a lot riding on this game. I think both teams are going to make it a little personal with each other. We've seen that these last couple games. The Bills want to really establish themselves as the new top dog in the AFC East. The Patriots, they've won it 2 straight years, but the Patriots, they want to make sure that this is still their yard. It's going to be huge. It's going to be a very, very competitive game, I think, and I'm excited to see it.
Matt.
Yeah, same. I can't wait. I'll be one of the many brave out there facing the cold.
Good luck with that.
Not necessarily looking forward to that, but I'm looking forward to being out there with the rest of the mafia and going a little crazy, So
absolutely. Shout out to the comments, man. They getting a little crazy. I guess it's getting playoff time. Bills Mafia. You know how we get to talking. But shout out to y'all. We definitely appreciate y'all. We want to ask y'all to like, share, rate, review, subscribe. Do all of those amazing things. We're on all platforms across, the board. So please, please, please go check us out there. And Matt, can you please let the people know about every contest that we are doing?
Yeah, man, we got a lot of stuff going on for the fans, for the followers this week. It's crazy. We're just everybody gets something. I feel like Oprah. But man, yeah, we're doing our score prediction contest. That's up on both pages, IG and Facebook. I think we even put it on Twitter. You can get over to IG and Facebook and enter to win a free Wing Kings gift card. We're giving away that exclusive half and half hoodie that none of us can even get. We don't even have. So we're giving that away this week. And also, like I said earlier, we're doing our inaugural Overdue Bills Day. So we want you guys in your gear on Saturday. Make a post, tag us in it, and you get a link or you get a code for 10% off a future order from us for appreciation for rocking with us for these last 2 years, man. I'm just, I'm excited to get into this game, and I'm just glad to be here with you guys.
Absolutely, man. We're definitely excited. We appreciate Max for coming on not once, not twice, but three times. It's safe to say we probably won't see him again this season. It's safe to say.
Not this season.
It's safe to say that. I can think we can safely say that. But with
this year, yes, not this season. Though.
Right. Right, absolutely. So shout out to Matt for being on the show. Shout out to all of you for being a part of the show. And you know how we end it with a little bit of hey, 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 hey.